Welcome back to DevOps Invent. We will continue to discuss about top Azure Data Factory interview questions and answers 2023. Q31. What type of compute environments does Azure Data Factory support? Azure Data Factory supports two types of computer environments, namely self-created environment. With the help of Azure Data Factory, you create and monitor this compute environment yourself. On-demand environment. Such an environment is a fully managed compute environment by Azure Data Factory. A cluster is generated that executes the transforming activity. Q32. What do we need to execute an sys package in Azure Data Factory? We have to create an sys here, an sys catalog hosted in Azure SQL database or Azure SQL managed instance to execute an sys package in Azure Data Factory. Q33. Can the output property of activity be consumed in another activity? The output property of an activity can be consumed in a subsequent activity with the @activity construct. Q34. What types of compute environments are supported by Azure Data Factory to execute the transform activities? Following are the two types of compute environments supported by Azure Data Factory to execute the transform activities. On-demand compute environment. The on-demand compute environment is a fully managed compute environment provided by Azure Data Factory. In this compute environment type, a cluster is created to execute the transform activity and removed automatically when the activity is completed. Self-created environment. In this compute environment type, we have to create and manage the compute environment ourselves with the help of Azure Data Factory. Q35. How can you handle the null values in an activity output in Azure Data Factory? We can handle the null values gracefully in an activity output in Azure Data Factory by using the @coalesce construct in the expressions. Q36. Is the knowledge of coding required for Azure Data Factory? No, it is not necessary to have a good knowledge of coding for Azure Data Factory. Azure Data Factory provides 90+ built-in connectors to transform the data using mapping data flow activities without the knowledge of programming skills or Spark cluster knowledge. It also facilitates us to create workflows very quickly. Q37. Which Azure Data Factory version is used to create data flows? We can use the Azure Data Factory v2 version to create data flows. Q38. What are the two levels of security in Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, Others Gen 2? Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 provides an access control model that supports two levels of security, both Azure Role-Based Access Control, Azure BAC, and POSIX-like access control lists, ACLs. Azure Role-Based Access Control, BAC. Azure Role-Based Access Control consists of built-in Azure roles such as reader, contributor, owner, or custom roles. Generally, BAC is assigned for two reasons. The first reason is to specify who can manage the service, i.e., update settings and properties for the storage account. And the second reason is to permit the use of built-in Data Explorer tools, which require reader permissions. Azure Access Control Lists, ACLs. The Azure Access Control Lists specify which data objects a user may read, write, or execute. ACLs are POSIX compliant, so it is familiar to those who know Unix or Linux. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more practical sessions in future by DevOps Invent. Experts in industry. Stay safe. Bye bye.